overview. The Python, I know you have one or the other, right? Windows platform or Mac. So if you want to run the command line, then for Windows, bring command line Windows by holding down the Windows button, Win button, and click R button, not type R, but click R. Then there is a pop-up small window comes. There you need to type CMD for command. Then you will have the terminals. For Mac, you can hold down the command button and hit space bar. Then there is a terminals, like command button hit, and then you type terminal. Then you will have terminal like this. Put this aside a little bit. Okay. There you can do these things. All right. Those who do not yet Python installation, what I want you to do is I want to download the Paizo. So Paizo, type Paizo, P-Y-Z-O, and then hit enter. Then there is a paizo.org. So click that Paizo, and then there is a quick start button menu. Quick start. I want to use the Paizo IDE. If you do not have any IDE installed, but if you have IDE already, maybe Visual Studio from Microsoft, that's fine. Or maybe from Google Paizo Pi Notebook, that's also okay. As far as when I ask you to submit your Python code, I want you to submit pure Python code itself. Do not submit your code with any proprietary IDE or any environment, any coding environment. Simply coding itself, code list itself as a file. Those who do not have yet Paizo, I want you to install Paizo. There are two different platforms, and also Linux version as well. So you click that and download. And then I want you to do two things, two versions of Python, regular Python and Anaconda Python. Okay, Anaconda Python is a small snake, right? Anaconda is a real big snakes. We do not have an anaconda here in America, but if you go to jungle, then you may be able to see anaconda. The real big anaconda can swallow us, human body. So small Python is small. The thick ones may be as thick as our arm. The Python as well. When I go to mount hiking, I stopped the mount hiking because I have I didn't tell you yet, right? I have eye exam. My retina was detached. Uh, Detached retina means blind, but I had the surgery so that I have small still damages exist. So I do not want to be in any uncertain road conditions. Then I may lose my vision, and it may anyway. So I don't go there. But when I till 2 3 years ago, till 2 years ago, a year and a half, I go to mount hiking. Then I can see snakes a lot. Snakes a lot here in Bear Mountains, particularly around this time, October or early November. Then lots of snakes, rattlesnakes and cobra-like snakes. It is not really cobra. Cobra is in desert, lives in desert area, right? But similar to cobra, but rarely that you can see here in this New York area. I looked up an article. It is possible. It is poisonous. It is dangerous, but not many like in desert. But anyway, it looks like a cobra. It is usually most snakes are defendable. They do not really attack human. But cobra-like snakes living here in this area is attackable. Attacked me. But anyway, Python. So we are working on Python. Okay, so Python is a kind of snake. It's not poisonous. It's not like rattle snakes. Here in this area, there are the cobra-like snake that is most dangerous, and rattlesnakes that is also poisonous. So many rattlesnakes available in this area, and the rest is non-poisonous. Although they look dangerous, they look thick and long. Huh?
What do you do when you see the snake?
If I have a cane, then I approach the cane and then touch it, then it disappears, right? It go away. But cobra-like snakes, when I touch, and it has like cobra, like this, and then when I touch it, attacked me like this. So it is really dangerous. So I kept a distance, so it was okay. Yeah, around this time, snakes needs to be winter hibernates. So they want to eat more and more.
Oh no.
That is natural. So during winter time, they need to survive, right? Hibernate for about 6 months or 5 months. So they need to get fatter and fatter. So whatever they want to see the eatable, they want to eat. So, but similarly, in opposite springtime, like April, March or April, then again I can see lots of snakes, but they are weaker because during the winter they lose, all. But they are hungry. Anyway, they're still hungry, but they are not strong enough. Interesting, right? So I want you to download, for example, Anaconda, the recent version of Anaconda. I'm not sure if I free download. Let's see. Download for Mac M1 and M2. Mine is M1, maybe 2 years old. M1 process. Intel process is much longer, older, right? So I can download that as an example of Anaconda. I want to show to you how you can configure it. Thank you for downloading. I'm not sure it is downloaded. So when I come here, download, still downloading. So meanwhile, so I'll go back. Okay, so I downloaded. I want you to download the regular Python. Current Python version. If I click this, the Python download Mac OS. Current version is 3.11.5. You can download this as well. So I download it. So I have this. Earlier one is Anaconda. The other one, Python. And the configuration of a Python shells. In Python, if you want to install, then you can do install whatever the modules or packages. Okay, that's what you need to do. So I put that aside, and then once you have a Paizo, then I want you to have. Let's put that there and bring another. Here, applications. Have a Paizo. I have a Paizo here. For Windows, you can do also similarly Paizo on your application, right? I mean, the program file directory. So this is a Python 3.11.5, and Anaconda still, it takes time. Okay. So if I click this Python 3.11.5, double click. Then I can do continue to install. It can be in application Python.3.11. Right now I have a Python 3.11, so I don't need to do this. Right, but if you didn't download it, I want you to download it, right? So I want to do stop that. Rather, if I open that Paizo, then what you need to do is on Python here, this is a shell, this is your code. Let me put new ones. New editor here. This is the editor. This is the command line shell. On this command line shell, if you do not have this yet, initially you do not have this Python shell. What you need to do is to edit shell configuration. So come here, edit. If you click this, then we have the tab here. I have 3 different versions of Python. Python 3.9, Python 3.11. This is what we want to do. I have 3.11.5, right? That is the recent version. The way that you need to have here, click add coding, then you will have that. You can rename it. Simply sample. There you can add the configuration, right? Add. I want to make a sample to. I want to delete that later. Delete, and then the next text field. There's an exe file. Executable file needs to be assigned. This is very, very important. So if you click this drop down arrow and find out the one that you have, okay? One, and then others, you don't need to do much. And then if you click done, then you can done. Otherwise, delete. My case, I'm going to delete this. I don't need to do. So what it does is that this Python knows which version of Python that you want to run. So once you have that, so you could have multiple different Python shells. Now, if you run, then the very next menu says which Python that you want to run. So if I click third one, then Python 3.11.5, that the recent version of a Python is running. So click that, so that new shell is being ready for me to use. Working so this. So you can use 3.11.5. On your command line, if you put Python, then you may be able to see which version that you are currently working. Here, this Python, when I click Python, it says Python 3.9.12. Here, Python 3.11.5. You could have the same version, but as you install more and more, because this Python I manually updated, right? And I choose in this case a specific recent version of a Python. Therefore, on Linux, if it is not properly configured, they may not be the same. So if you are familiar with Linux, you may be able to see that. I want to quit this. And Linux command. Are you good at Linux command, Ruth? Not really, right. So if you put here where is command and Python and star, then you may be able to see the old versions of Python. So where is those Pythons? So those are the Pythons that I had so far. Python 3, that is version 3.11. I think that is this, right? Currently. So if I type Python 3, then remember here, this is the same as this one, right? And when I simply type Python, quit. When I simply type Python, then it goes somewhere else.
Yeah.
3.9, that whatever that. So how can you see which one is running right now? Then if you type which Python, and then it goes to this directory under opt /opt /anaconda3/bin and Python. When I type Python only, then it runs this ones. When I type Python 3, it goes to, oops, it goes to this version. Do you see the difference, right? This is just a tip for you. We're not doing that much. This is command line. All right. So usually you do here your work. So let's try to do that. Coding. You want to deal with the data, right? Then data should be loaded in memory first. There are many ways that you can load the data. You can assign the data here explicitly. We call that hard-coded data on your code. So on your code itself, coding list itself, we put the data there. Or simple data. Or you can make data in more structured way. We'll look at that next week. Simple data, then you can simply load that in memory. How you can load that in memory? You can simply, if it is Mercy, then this is simply data, Mercy. I would say here Mercy. Hit enter. Then it is loaded in memory. Can we use this Mercy? Can you access that data? There's no way that we can access that data. Why? Because data is just tossed out. There's no labels, no link. I do not hold any link that can point to that value, Mercy. I need to hold that labels so that next time I am going to pull that data, so I continue to use that once. How can you do that? In order to do that, you need to assign that to something. So if I put here name equals Mercy, then next time if I say what do I have on my label name, then it gives me, hey, because you said the name is a simple label. It's not data itself. Data is a Mercy, MERCY. NAME, that is just a label. Like if you have a drawer, you put something on your drawer, your clothes, and then you close the drawer, and you put the label on that drawer, say, my clothes. And next time when you come, looking at that label, if it says my clothes, then you may be able to see, oh, that drawer contains some of my clothes there. So you pull that drawer by looking at that label. Then you may access your clothes there, right? If you put some other drawer, you can say my hat. If you open that drawer by looking at that label, then you may be able to see all of your hats there. So this is like what's contained and what contains. So container and containee, so to speak, right? So container, that is a label. Content, there's a real value. So here, name, by the way, comment, if you will put some comment, then pound sign. So container, so I commented there. Container is called the name. Content is contained in that container, right? So mercy. So container name holds the content or the value, mercy. So as far as we know the label of that container, then we can see the content. If we want to see the print that label, say print is a function, that function takes, see here, when I type print, it gives me this hint. Print is a function, it has an argument. Oops, that disappears. But anyway, it has arguments. What do I want to print? I would say name. Oh, now I have something. So it has a multiple of arguments. Oops, that disappeared again. All right. How can we execute it? If we want to execute it, then command button and hit enter, or command and hit enter. Okay, let's do that. Then it returns mercy, right? So left side here, that is the editor. Right hand side, that is the terminal-like. This is a shell. So you can see the result on the right hand side. If we want to save this, you can save this. I want you to save. Okay. So if you go File and Save, then you may be able to see where you want to save it. I want to save this on this 505, and then there's in class, and I want to create new folder, say 423. The file name, I would say homework 2. Homework 2 dot extension is py, so you don't need to put here hw2.py because it says Python, and save. Then when you come here, 505 in class, then I have here right, hw2.py, which is created today. Okay. So if I ask you to submit your Python code, you can submit this file, right? So you save this and submit that once. Same thing, whoever use your own IDE, then you need to save your source file as a regular file, text file, plain text file, and submit that plain text file. So this name holds this value, mercy. You can print also, say, the university that I like is whatever that. Okay? So I have two print statements, print and print. If we want to see what this print function can do, then come here on the right hand side, then put help, open and close parenthesis. Whichever that I do here, I have open and close parenthesis, like a function. Help, open and close. Print, open and close parenthesis. So this is, Python is a functional coding language. Almost all the coding language that we know is a functional programming. Functional programming. If it is a function, then function has multiple arguments, right? We arguments to the way that we define, or anyway, this is a function. So help is a function already developed by Python. So help, then it gives me. Previously, I have triple greater than sign, which is prompt sign. But when it comes to help, another prompt, help. Here we can put any function that we want to learn more. For example, if I want to learn print, then you can put here print. Hit enter, then there's a called here. I put print. So print arg star argues means multiple arbitrary number of parameters are available, and some others sep equals, then you can do something, and equals, you can do some file name all, and explained here. Sep means string inserted between the values, and string appended after the last values, and file and flush. So initially you do not understand what it is explicitly, then therefore you have to learn as you build up your experience. You may be able to see what it means gradually, but right now, although that is the English not really well understood, that's okay. In this help, you can, if you put the quit, then it'll quit. Okay, you don't need to put here quit open and close parentheses. Simply quit. Then you will get that once. So I added the in this the two different print statements. First print statements, I put literally quote and unquote. Next one, I put a name. What that means here, if I have a quote and unquote, then these print statements do not need to see any evaluations. These print statements see what it means. Simply take it and echo. But if it is not in quote and unquote, then in this case, evaluate the name. Evaluation of this, we call this a variable or label. Evaluation means open draw and get the content. So print name is nothing but print quote and unquote mercy, right? So we have two print statements. If we want to save this, then you can do save it, like Command S or Control S for Windows, and then you can execute it. Then I have the university that I like is Mercy. First print statement appears first, second print statement appears second. And then this print statements may be able to have multiple arguments. So if we put here university, then I have here the university that I like is Mercy University. Because print statements may have multiple arguments, name, comma, another. This name, because it is not quote and unquote, we need to evaluate this. What it means is that open the drawer and get the content. And then comma, and the next argument is quote and unquote. So this is simply string. So we echo the string. We call the string. Okay. How can you put them in one line? So I want to copy this. And here. If you hear the library, the help, it says arguments separate equals, and equals. What and can do here is and string appended after the last value. Default and is a new line. Even if you don't say anything, and equals quote and unquote backslash n. Backslash n means new line. Remember that here, this gives me new line, right? When I execute this, it gives me new line. After this, the university that I like, space, then there's a new line, because that's what it says, right? That's what it defines. Default is a new line. But if you do not want to make a new line, then what you need to do here is after this, comma, and equals quote and unquote. And hit enter. So what happens? First two print statements, one print per line. Second, two print statements, because I said here and equals quote and unquote, which means I do not want to make a new line. What that means is that they are stick together, first and seconds. That's what it is. The university that I like is Mercy University. Right? Makes sense? So now you know how you can read the help, right? We practiced one of those. We'll do more next week.